So everything, you can set goals all day long, but if your systems are not there, documented, automated, and personalized, then you're going to fall to the level of those systems. And that's where I think most agents struggle.
Well, hello everyone. This is Dr. Cynthia Tant at Sip Sell Repeat in Real Estate, and I'm in Pensacola, Florida. Beautiful beach in the background. It is heating up around here. I will tell you that for sure. I have the distinct pleasure of today having Flora de Maria McNally as my guest, and she comes to us from Cincinnati, not Cincinnati, Ohio, but somewhere in Ohio. Is that correct?
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Founder of De Maria Homes, and then also top producing agent with Keller Williams, and is really involved in the Latino community and teaching people or educating people about uh, financial freedom or wealth with real estate. So I'm going to let Flora get a little bit more details about her past and tell us a little bit about being a mom of six under eight. That is just amazing. Something amazing to me. Tell us a little about yourself.
Yes. So I am a mother of six under eight. I actually just had my sixth baby 5 weeks ago.
Oh
And
my
he's throwing me through a loop. So I don't know when we're going to have our seventh or if we're going to have a seventh. I don't decide. I mean, if I get pregnant, then it is what it is. But I'm not going to intentionally go for that seventh for a little while.
give your body a break. Yeah,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. Well, it's so we've had our kids pretty much on average about a year and a half, 2 years apart. And this is the first time in the 8 years that we've been having babies that we have three under three. It's intense. I mean, they're all screaming at the same time. And this is the first time that I have a boy that's 3 years old. I had three girls back to back, and then I had my boy, and man, they are so different.
They're different. That's what I've heard. My friends who have kids and they just say, I know I raised them the same, but they are totally different,
They're
you
totally
know.
different. Yes. The girls, I mean, they sit, they hands in their laps, like they listen to everything that I say. But that little boy, he is something else. Gosh.
Well, talk to us a little bit about how you manage this for you've been in business about 11, 12 years, I guess, and how you manage your real estate business with all of this going on in the background for other moms out there that are experiencing some interesting
Yeah.
situations like you are.
So what's really interesting is that I sell over 120 homes as a solo agent. And the way that I do that is through my systems and my leverage. So I only work 25 hours a week and I'm able to sell 10 to 12 homes a month. And I have $1 million business and six kids running around. So everything, you can set goals all day long, but if your systems are not there, documented, automated, and personalized, then you're going to fall to the level of those systems. And that's where I think most agents struggle.
When you started creating your systems, which one did you think was the most beneficial in the beginning to get up and going and stick with it? Because I know the next shiny object comes along with realtors and they're off on another thing. But obviously, you've put something together here to make this happen. So, what would be your maybe top one or two that you got going and stuck with, and that's how it's helped you to be able to do this as a solo agent?
Yeah. So number one would definitely be contract to close. That's where I would start because that experience is what's going to create repeatable business. So in the last 3 years, on average, I've received 600 to 700 referrals organically just from my database. And I actually just
Mhm.
wrote a book about it, and my link went live today. So you can pre-order
Oh,
starting today.
great. Well, how
I
can we get
know.
in touch with you for that? How can we get in touch with you for that? At your
Stop
name or what?
asking. Yeah, stop asking for referrals.com.
Sweet. Awesome. I got that right now. Stop asking for referrals. Awesome. And we can
Yes.
get in touch with you by your name also. So it's in
Yep,
the,
Flor de Maria McNally.com. You can also
okay.
go there and you can see just my body of work, as you would say,
That's awesome.
my book, my real estate page, just everything's there. So yeah, so I always recommend that agents, if you don't have any systems, which according to my coach, she coaches 36 clients and only three of her clients have really great systems, and I'm one of them.
Wow. Wow.
So that means what, like 90% of agents don't have great systems in place.
Right. Especially in today's world and how everything's changing so fast with AI and this and everything else that's going on, they have to have the systems. I'm a
Exactly.
broker, so I understand that completely.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, that's like any major business, if you think about it, right? How did McDonald's scale from from one location into a franchise? Like you have to have great systems to manage that level of logistics. It's the same thing for real estate. So what are the repeatable things that happen or the experiences that you want people to have? And how can you make it automated but not lose that personal touch? And that's what I wrote my book about.
that's awesome. On Amazon, we can get it pretty much.
Amazon will be a
Go to
couple
your link,
weeks. Right now, the Barnes and Noble link is active,
Barnes and
but
Noble.
I don't
Okay,
know when this is going to go live. But yeah, in a
it'll
couple
be
of
a
weeks,
couple
I
weeks.
think.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
goes in a couple of, yeah,
So
it'll
I
be
think
perfect time
Amazon should be
to be
active
up
by
and going
then.
then. All right.
Yeah.
So the contract to close, and so that's your database then. Is that?
No. So contract to
Oh,
close is basically from the moment that a buyer and seller go into agreement. So a buyer has looked at a home, they put in an offer, the seller accepts. From that moment all the way up until closing, that's your contract to close process. So you collect earnest
right,
money, you
right,
connect the lender, you send the information to the title company. Like there's a process there, and most
correct.
agents don't document it, and you can tell. I mean, when
Oh,
you
I
go
know.
and email them and they have no idea where their process is at, then you know that
Hmm.
they don't have a documented process.
And so documenting that, but do you have a online system that you use that is very beneficial to you, or you've created your own?
Yes, so I have I can give you do you put like links in your
Yeah,
description?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
okay. So I can send you the link of the
Okay.
platform that I use that I've been using for 11 years. It's called
Hmm.
Next.
Next.
Hmm.
Okay. I have heard of it, but I haven't heard of that many people using it. Because
Yes,
there's so many out there right now, and then the new
I
ones come
know.
up.
I know,
I
I
know.
know. Well, I've been using this one for 11 years. I've tried a million different platforms, and this is the only one that's super reliable and that does what I want it to do. Because I know that Brivity has a transaction management system, but it's too clunky, and I'm all about simplicity. So, how can I make it simple? How can I plug people in? And how can I customize each step so that my clients are getting the experience that I want them to have? And Next
Okay.
accomplishes that.
In your referral system that we will read in your book, okay, do you like I have a what do I call it? It's my Flip Flop Nation group where we do events. We get together quarterly. We do things like that. Do you have anything like that you do with your buyers and sellers and people you stay in contact? Or, yeah, do you do anything like that?
Absolutely. So, number
Okay.
one, so most of my business, so out of the 120 closings that I have a year, 80% are buyers, which
Mm.
always blows people's minds. I know, because it's like,
It's
how do you work
crazy.
25 hours a week and have all these
No.
kids? And so I have
Yeah.
a showing partner model that I
Okay. All right.
implemented, but those buyers I offer to do a housewarming party for. So I have a couple this month. So I
Right.
organize it, I send the invites, I add them to my database, but I never
Hmm.
ask for referrals.
Right.
Never at any point in a relationship do I say, you know, anybody looking to buy or sell reals?
Right. Tell all those.
I've never said that in my life. It's
Right.
horrible. So I do the housewarming party, and I have a whole system to run that play. And then I do quarterly events. So
Hmm.
the first quarter, I haven't done a first quarter event in a long time because I've been having babies. And so first
Yeah.
quarter I've been just out for the count. But
Yeah.
second quarter I do a summer barbecue at my house. So I have a massive pool. I invite all of my clients there. I make them food. We have a DJ. It's super
Hmm.
fun. Third quarter I do fall photos. So I have a
Okay.
professional photographer come out and get seasonal photos for my clients, family photos.
Mhm.
And then fourth quarter, I do a Christmas party.
Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. I used to, but my mom has canceled this year. She'll be 95. And
Oh my
so,
gosh.
yeah, so I would rent out at the baseball stadium. I'd rent out a party deck and just invite everybody to come celebrate her birthday because she's a big baseball fan. She's having a little balance problems, a little memory issues. She goes, I don't want to do that anymore. I go, Okay. But it
Oh,
was a shock because she enjoyed doing it, but she's slowing down a lot. So I respect her wishes on that. So for the
yeah.
first couple of years, she used to throw the pitch out, first pitch out too. So
Oh
we
my
started
gosh,
when she
that's
was,
so
yeah, we
fun.
started when she was 88. So we're still going strong.
That's
But that,
incredible.
that's where everybody, Miss Betty, her name's Betty. And we're in the South, so it's always Miss Betty, you know, and she
Southern
has a lot of,
hospitality.
that is, she has a lot of fans in my group of buyers and sellers who have become, I'm sure the same with you, like family members and
That's
friends.
exactly right. You're creating a community. And
Mhm,
that's one of the things, like you said, mention a couple of your systems, right? So, one of my other systems is just my database management. So, when people
mhm.
come into my ecosystem, what does that look like? I collect all their information up front because you can't stay in touch with somebody systematically and consistently if you don't have all their proper information. And it comes back to that same topic, right? Like all other businesses have these highly developed, highly specific systems in place. Those same companies also always collect your data. If you think about going to the doctor, what do? They hand you a clipboard and you fill out, you even put your social security number on there.
Oh,
Um, you go to Ulta Beauty, they ask you for your email address. So it's all about collecting that data. And so why aren't we as realtors doing the same thing? Like we're so pop and go, like, oh, I want to go see this house. Okay, yeah, I'll take you right now. What's your phone number? And then you just have like a notepad with phone numbers. That's not a database. That's not something that you can package up and sell in the future either.
I believe in that too. I mean, it's like getting as much as everything you can, and then all of a sudden you find out when their birthdays and their house anniversary, and then you start adding all those dates and sending it. I have a question to ask you. Do you send out thank you notes?
I don't do thank you notes. I do birthday
Okay.
cards.
You do
And
birthday cards.
they
Okay.
they do look like this.
Oh my
I
gosh. Oh
I don't put
gosh.
any kind of my branding on my stuff. I make it all about the
Just
client.
send out the client. That's awesome. Where do you
Yeah.
get that done at?
I can give you a link to that too.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, put
called
the links
Mailbox
in
Power.
so we
Yep.
can provide some information for other gals that are looking at things like that.
And then
Um,
home anniversary gifts. Again, very
yep,
personalized.
cups,
That's a
those
picture
that's
of the
awesome.
client.
Right up front of their house. That is amazing. That's
Hmm.
great. What about open houses? Do you do open houses? Oh,
I
you do a
hate
lot
open
of
houses.
buyers. That's you do buyers. That's right, mainly buyers. So
This year,
so what
actually,
is
I've moved the needle on that. I've moved from 80% to 60% just this year. It's kind of crazy.
okay. So from the buyer perspective, how are they coming to you? Because obviously there's social media, there's online, there's I know referrals and your system way you're doing it. If you think there's all 60% or 80% are referral based,
Referral
pretty much,
based.
pretty
Yes.
much.
So my experience is so different, right? So we cater to them, we do everything for them, and because they're Latino clients most of the
Right.
time,
Okay.
they're
Okay.
not used to that level of service because most agents that speak Spanish are so overwhelmed with the influx of leads that they don't systematize their process. Whereas I'm highly organized. So then I
Right.
can spend the time and be present with those clients. And so I actually started tracking at which point I would get my referrals. And it's been earlier and earlier in the process. So before it would be at closing, they would say, oh, here's a couple of
Right.
names. I just wanted to see how this went. Now it's right after the intake call. So I have one conversation with them and they're like, this has been so different from any other experience that I've had. Here's a couple of other names of people that I
Other
know that have been
friends.
struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got, you talked about when we first started before that you had done some bartending, or I have a bartender coming in on Monday who speaks Spanish, and she's 29 years old. And we've talked a lot when I go to the restaurant, and it's a Peruvian restaurant. It's great. It's my favorite restaurant.
I
And
love
so
Peruvian food.
they all know me, and they know I do real estate and talk about it and stuff. And they said, what do you think? I said, come talk to me. You speak Spanish, so let's our Spanish population isn't that big in Pensacola, but we do have people here that need Spanish because I do not. And so that would be, I think it's going to be great for her to come on. She goes, because her friends keep saying, you've got this bubbly personality. You don't need to be doing this. Or, okay. I'll
Bartenders
tell her
make the
about,
greatest
I
realtors.
know, I'm
Yeah,
going to
tell
tell
her
her
to
about
reach
you.
out.
I'm going to tell her
Yes,
about you.
yes.
And then that way, because she would love it because they're all talking Spanish and everything else while behind the bar while I'm going, oh, whatever you say.
What are they talking about? They're
Yeah,
probably talking about
exactly.
me.
They probably are. They probably are.
Have you lived in
Well, so
Pensacola your whole life?
no, I have not. I did come to school here for my undergraduate degree in the late 70s. And then I came back as a professor in the 90s. And
What did you
so I've been
teach?
back. Biomechanics has
Oh
nothing
my,
to do.
I have a degree in biology.
Really? See?
Yeah.
I went all the way to the PhD level and I don't use
Oh
it.
my
And but
gosh.
what's
That's a lot
very
of
interesting?
money.
Yeah, well, back then though, it wasn't a lot of money, because that was back in the 80s, 70s and 80s. So it
Mm,
really wasn't that much money compared to what it is today.
yeah.
And there was a lot more financial aid and things like that. Not on the master's or PhD level, but it just wasn't that. And then I was in Texas and I was a Texas resident. It was like $500 a quarter. It was crazy. It was so cheap.
Oh my
Yeah, I
gosh.
know. It was really inexpensive. When I know teaching was my first career. And so before you started having the babies, you had you did a little bartending. You said you had a little bit of directional issue kind of thing with school. And your husband recommended you getting into real estate. Did that even pop into your head at all?
No.
No. Okay.
I had no idea that it exists. I know it sounds really stupid, but I didn't even realize that existed as a job. I mean, that's how far removed I was from this world. And I was
Mm-hmm.
really young. I was 24 years old. And I had no financial sense whatsoever. Like he was the one who got my credit score up from literally the toilet. So I was just starting to learn about money and like how to manage money. And I had never even thought about buying a house, like none of that. So I came home one day and I was like, I was just frustrated because I would switch restaurants every 6 months.
Okay. I
I
know
would hit a
that's typical.
ceiling. Yeah.
Yep.
I would hit a
I
ceiling.
live on a beach. We're getting ready for the tourist season, so everybody's out there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a high turnover industry and management's not great with dealing with strong personalities. I have a very strong personality. I have a lot of opinions and they did not like that. So then I would just go to another restaurant and I would just start from scratch. And so at this particular restaurant that I was at, they had really great systems in place. I loved it there. They even had their own language. They still do. And it was just a service level it was just it's excellence. And it was a higher end restaurant.
Mm,
And but I had a few suggestions, about the service experience, especially behind the bar. And I would get a lot of pushback and I wasn't getting any recognition. And, even though I had more regulars than anybody else. And so I came home and I was just venting to my husband. And back in Maryland, where we lived an hour and 20 minutes apart. And so when we moved to Cincinnati, since we still weren't married, we were living right across from each other in apartments. And so I would stop by
okay.
his apartment on the way back home. On the way back home, it was like right across
Yeah.
the way. And I was just venting to him. I'm like, oh, I'm just so frustrated. And I don't want to switch restaurants again. And I really like this one. But I just feel like there's so much more that I can do and that I could contribute. And so, he's half asleep because he's just been waiting for me. And I'm wired. You know how it is. Like you get home from the
Yep.
restaurant and he's like, oh, you should do real estate. It was such a
But
huge
where
I
did he get
know.
that idea?
No idea.
Like,
Like
where did he get that idea?
I just asked him recently. I'm like, where did that come from? And he's like, I don't know. It just seemed like the be your own boss industry. And I just felt like that's what you needed. Like you needed to be the authoritative figure. You needed to
Mm-hmm.
design the experience. And what better way to do it than to get into like this, the bar is very low. So you could
Mm-hmm.
just spend $3,000, have your license, and just get going. And so I Googled it. I was like, how much do real estate agents make? How do they get paid? And when I
Yeah.
saw that I could make 3%, I calculated 3% of 100,000. I was like, I could make $3,000 by selling one house.
Yeah.
Like I'm in, like 100% I'm in.
But
And
you weren't any aware of what that required. Okay.
at
So
all.
then what happened. Okay. So for the new agents who are coming on and you had no clue, you get your license. Have you been with Keller Williams your whole time? Or
Yes.
so you've been with Keller Williams. Okay. So I know
Yes.
the training program is good. I know that and everything. I haven't experienced it, but I have heard from it from many people. And so you dive in there with your husband's support, obviously, right?
Yes. Yeah, so we're not
Okay.
married at the time and I don't have any children. And so I'm still working behind the bar. So I would
Hmm.
go into the office 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then I would go to the bar from 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. And I just did that run because I had so much energy and I was like, I'm gonna make this work. Like I want to make $6,000 a month. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would be making $200,000 a month. I mean, that's not even like I couldn't even fathom that back then. I
Hmm.
mean, if somebody told me that, I wouldn't believe it. So my goal was just to replace my bartending income. And I just went all in. Like I have been told on many occasions that I'm very coachable. And so I just clung on to any person that I saw that had success because success leaves
Yep.
clues.
Right. Right.
And I just did everything they told me. I
Yeah.
just did it.
A-
I didn't
And in
question
this
it.
business, that's what I tell my agents, central program agents. I said, look, we can go through all kinds of classes, or you can just hang around with me right now and let's go. I'm a very small brokerage. So and they're all women. It's kind of interesting because they're all women. There's 9 of us. And my property manager, though, my other business is a guy. And so it's so funny. He's got all these women around him. He goes, I'm out of here. Certain days, everybody's kind of going and coming and going. But it's just, I enjoy the process of, and unfortunately, I have a lot of bigger companies steal my people because they've been trained by me, they do
Mm.
good, and then grass is always greener on the other side. And unfortunately, they end up getting out of the field because they just get burned up, in a big
Oh
brokerage.
no.
And I said, well, you can always come back, but then they feel like, oh, well, we let you down. That's okay. And a couple of them have come back, but they see the big brokerage and the big honors. And if that's what you want, it's not going to happen with me. I'm just going to let you make some money, if that's what,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But so if for a new agent, what would you encourage them? I know training is important. What about their database? What did you do when you first got started? Did you just start talking to everybody that you knew? How did you get that first start? I know you remember your first sale. What did you get?
100%. So I
Yeah.
actually joined a team when I first got started in real estate. So that gave me a
Mhm.
lot of my initial contacts, but I quickly realized that I wasn't getting any value for the 50% that I was giving
Yeah.
them. So I
Yeah.
left and I went on my own. And really, I mean, what they were giving me were realtor.com leads. So I was like, I'll just sign up for realtor.com and I'll pay $200 a month versus 50% of my commission. And so that's what I did because I didn't have a database. I was new in Cincinnati and now I'm one of the
Okay.
top agents here, top 14 out of 6,800. And I'm brand new here. And a lot of people here have been here forever,
Long time. Mhm.
generations. And yeah, so I just did realtor.com leads. I loved on those people and I made sure that I kept in touch. I'm still in touch with those people today.
So
This
who was your first? Yeah, who was your first sale? I can tell you mine too, but who was yours?
my
Not to
guess.
name,
Well,
but okay.
technically my dad. Technically my dad.
Okay, that's okay. That's all right.
But then my real first client was Matt Gessner and Jen Bartholomew. Yeah, they bought a
Yeah,
condo downtown, and I remember like they're like in our training class, they're like, "Don't think about the fact that you're new, because then the question will come. Like how long have
right,
you been in real
right,
estate?" And that's
right.
exactly what happened. I was thinking about it. I was so stressed about it that and then there it came. You put the energy out there, and immediately they're like, oh, how long have you been in real estate? I'm like, oh, long enough to be a great advocate for you. No. Yeah. So, but one of my
I know. I
clients, my fifth
Yeah.
client, this is her son that bought a house with me,
Okay.
and I'm still like
Oh,
sending them
that's
gifts
awesome.
and yeah.
Yeah. I know my very first one. I was just sitting floor. I was managing. Well, basically, I don't go the whole story, but I was just sitting floor at the first place I ever was at, and Ben walks in. He says, "I have a checkbook and I want to buy a house." Okay. So Ben and Diane, they come walking in and we start looking and they didn't ask me anything. I pretended like I knew what I was doing, and started doing a thing. I said,
Exactly.
let's start looking, and so get in the car. Way back then, it was, you get in a car with them, and you drive them and stuff. And so we're driving the very first house we go to. I mean, oh my gosh, it had a pink kitchen. I was like
Oh
I'm
my
thinking to myself,
gosh.
are you kidding me? And I said something about a pink kitchen, and Diane goes, I love it. I went, okay, I'll be quiet right now. And so we walked through the house, and then we went to about four other houses. He goes, no, we're going back to the first one. Let's make an offer. I went, it can't be this easy, really, because I seriously, it was my first week. And
Yeah,
so I've
yeah,
been
yeah.
friends ever with, it's been 25 years. And
Oh
not
my
only have they
gosh.
bought multiple houses, their children have bought multiple houses. They have moved away now, but I mean, I go to their weddings, their kids, everything. But yeah,
That's
when
what it's
he
all
said,
about.
I'm
It's
ready to
it's
buy a
just
house,
about
I
getting
just
to
kind
know
of fell
these.
off my chair. Yeah. Well, do you have any kind of insight or remember, I should say, I know you do, of a very interesting, you don't have to say any names or anything, but a very interesting sale that you may have had that it didn't work the way you thought it was going to be, or it's just some twists and turns that were really weird. What is that? Okay. So something just okay, never mind. Anyway, some twists or turns or something. It ended up different than you thought was going to happen. Anything like that?
Yes. One of my
Okay.
very first sales was like that. And actually, they just reached out and, after 10 years wanting to sell their house. I've kept in touch, they've had
Yeah.
several children, but they've just stayed at that house. They're very cheap. So they just want to keep their $900 payment and they're not ready to
Oh
pay
gosh.
$2,500 a month.
Yeah. Right.
Um, anyway, they went well, first of all, it took I think about 60 days to even go under contract. We negotiated back and forth
Oh gosh.
for 2 months. They would say, forget it. The sellers would say, forget it. Then we would all come back. And it went on for 2 months. They went under contract. The inspection negotiation took 3 months.
Oh my God.
They would be like, forget it. They would be like, forget it. Then we come back together. Then we put together another solution. And mind you, I'm brand new. So I'm like, I'm navigating these situations that are just like mind blowingly challenging. I mean, I like my experience today would handle it like a, like a
Right.
champ,
But back then,
but
yeah. Yeah.
I'm brand new and I'm dealing with these
Right.
really ridiculous situations. The appraisal came back low. That was a whole nother thing. Then it closes and then there's title issues. So there's a heir that everybody thought was dead and he wasn't
Oh my God.
dead and he was
They
wanting a
didn't catch
piece.
it in the search. They didn't catch it in the search when
They
they.
did. They did. And so this was at the closing. Yeah, at the closing
Oh
and
my
this
gosh.
and remember like the seller was really tough and really cheap too, so he didn't want to give up any part of his proceeds and but we got through it. They bought their house and now they're paying $900 a month and thinking about moving. I'm like that's going to be really hard.
I know it's pretty interesting. Different stories. We had a women's council realtor social last night, and we were just there's a group of us that are a little bit older in the group. You have that generational thing going on, and so we're just talking to each other, and we're just saying, the stories we could tell,
Oh
because
gosh.
Phil next to me, he's 80, and Alexis is 83, and I said, you guys are still in real estate, but they're just having a ball. But what the knowledge they have. I said, please shoot me if I'm still doing this when I'm 80. It's like, um, but
Exactly.
but so is there any, as we're talking about stories, so we remember the good, but what about the bad? Is there really one that sticks your like crawl? It was just like just didn't
Like
turn out like
super
it was
super
supposed to.
bad that stuck with me. I mean there's been a lot. I mean I'm not going to lie. Like they've had really
Yeah.
terrible situations, but I guess the okay, this one's particularly terrible. So this client was under contract for, and she was already like really difficult. She was really rude to my team. So she finally went under contract. We're like, thank goodness that she's going to be off of our list. And she does her inspection. And so we start to work on the negotiations and it's not bad. So, what she's
Yeah.
asking for is totally within reason.
Right.
And I don't know, for some reason, I was like, something's not adding up here. Like, I know this condo association like the back of my hand. It's one of, my main areas. And I know that their HOA fees are out the wazoo. And her payment was very low. And like the
Oh
information that they had
no.
online was, it just, I don't know, it raised red flags. So mind you, we're already in inspection, right? And the seller is the one that puts that information out on the MLS. We put it on the contract. That's what was on the disclosures, like whatever. So it has nothing to do with me. But I just I take it one step further and I call the HOA and I'm like, hey, are these HOA fees correct? And I think it was like 150 or something. And they're like, no, it's like 450. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I call her immediately. I'm like, hey, like, here's the situation. Like, the payment's actually $300 higher. Like, what do you want to do? Like, this is misinformation by way of the seller.
Yeah.
And she just goes off on me. She's
Oh,
like, like it's my fault. She's like, you think you can lie to me? You think that you can just get
oh
away
man.
with this kind of fraud? I'm going to post reviews about you all over Google and Better Business Bureau. And I'm like, am I in the twilight zone? And she's like, I want my money back. I'm like, well, yeah, like you're going to get your earnest money back. I'm going to make sure of that. And she's like, well, I want my inspection money back. And I'm like, I think that's totally fair to ask, but this house is owned by Zillow. And she's like, you really think I'm an
Oh
idiot? Like, you really think I'm going to believe that? And I'm like, no, like it literally is owned by Zillow. I'm like, so I have to take this all the way up to the top. And I doubt that they're going to want to give any of that money back. And so she's like, you're taking me for a fool. Like, you think you can
oh
just
my
continue
gosh.
lying to me? And I'm like, gosh. So I get her earnest money back. I get her inspection money back. And I make her sign a document saying that she's not going to defame me, like a cease and desist
Right.
in exchange for this money that because we paid it out of pocket.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's still pissed off at me. She said I'm the worst person ever. Like nobody should ever work with me. It's
Well, you know what? You kill her with success. You know, you have all these other successes. I'm sure on Google you have all the great reviews and everything. And it's like it wasn't you caught it right away,
I
and so
know.
Zillow owned it. So Zillow didn't live up to what they did. I mean, they just, oh, we made a mistake, so screw you, basically. Was that
I
kind of
mean,
what it
they're a
was?
multi-billion-dollar
Yeah,
company, so they could care less.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so as a solo agent, now do you have any transaction coordinators? Do you have any assistants? Do you work? You do. Okay.
Yes, yes.
So,
Oh, absolutely. I can't do this by
okay,
myself.
I was going to say
Yes.
you couldn't do all that. So your main role that you do, obviously, is with the person. So you've got your transaction coordinators or whatever doing the back end stuff, correct?
That's right.
And are they licensed?
I only have one licensed
Okay.
support person, which is my showing partner.
Okay. And then anyone doing paperwork or folders or anything else like that is
Yeah.
just
So I have a director of operations and she manages my listings and she manages my
okay.
pendings. And then under her are three virtual assistants.
Oh, you're doing virtual assistants. Okay. Yeah. I just can't do that yet. I like the person in the office so that I can say, I need, you know, to handle whatever it is like that. But that's how you scale.
Yes,
And that's how you're
100%.
able to handle it. Here's a big question. What or how are you using AI in
I
this whole
know
process?
that's like, I don't know why everybody's so intrigued by AI. Personally, I think this is our opportunity to move towards a more human experience, right? The more human that you can be with people,
Mhm.
the more that they're going to be attracted to you. It's kind of like how things have swapped, right? We get so many emails nowadays that
Mhm.
direct mail is more powerful.
I know. I found that too because there's not as much there. It wasn't in the mailbox. They open up. Okay, there's nothing in here. Wow. And now all of a sudden we're seeing a little bit more
Yeah,
coming in.
yeah. So when you send a gift through the mail or you send a card
Mm.
through the mail, it really makes it an impact because people are not used to that now that they get spammed by emails. And emails are a turnoff. Like I
Right.
can't tell you how many times I hit unsubscribe in a day. It's awful.
Right.
So
And
personally,
spam
I
on your
use
phone. So.
yeah, exactly.
Oh
I
my
use
God.
AI to accelerate. So if
Mm.
there's something that I'm working on, I'll do my first draft and then I'll have AI clean it up. So I use
Yeah.
Claude for that.
Right.
Chat GPT helps me like put data sets together, but very minimal use of AI. Not even with my
I'm
graphics because
I,
everybody's doing that now.
Well, I know, and you can see it's being pulled in if you really look at it, and things are starting to look pretty close, especially in the real estate market. They're looking pretty similar. But the thing is that it always has, and since I've been out of teaching in a while, but it's like nobody thinks about anything anymore. I mean, it's like
I know.
you can tell what's bogus on your Facebook pages or anything else, and but when you really have that human connection and have communication. So in this industry, communication is the whole thing, I believe. Are you also with that as far as staying in communication and just speak and picking up the phone, just picking up the phone and answering it, you know?
So what I've done with my business is essentially removed everything around me, peeled away all the layers so that when my phone rings, I can answer it. That's my main goal because I always want people to feel like they can reach me because that's what I would want. I can't tell you the number of times that I've called a lawyer and I go straight to their voicemail. And that's how realtors are. You can't get a hold of
Oh,
them.
I had a young man who he said, I'm getting ready to take over 6 of his Airbnbs because I picked up the phone
Uh-huh.
when he was calling. He has a realtor who is negotiating the property with, but he was calling Airbnb property managers or companies, and I picked up the phone. And so he goes, "You're the first person who's picked up the phone." I said, "Well, let's talk, you know."
Yeah.
But now I'm trying to help him. I can't. He's got his own realtor, so I can't go in that direction at all. But I'm going, "Are you sure about this?"
But in the future, I mean, he's going to remember that.
Yes, and then yeah. What are some final points that you'd like to share with any of the ladies that may be listening to us today, and how they may, if they just want to be a solo agent versus going in a team or something like that? What are some little nuggets that you can maybe share with us today?
Yeah, number one thing is just remembering that, at the end of the day, you're dealing with people and people want to feel important and they want to feel seen and they don't want to feel like a transaction. So
Mhm,
position yourself in the way that you view things as a consumer. So when you go to the store, what are some turnoffs? Are you doing the same things? Are you mirroring those behaviors and not realizing it because you're on the other side? So just bringing the humanity back into the process and the transaction, and that's the whole basis of my book. Stop asking for referrals, just build the
mhm,
authentic relationship and the business will
mhm,
come naturally. And then the other thing is just start documenting your process right away. What is it that you do every single time? Write it down, and you can always
mhm,
tweak it. I'm still tweaking my process today, 11 years later,
mhm.
from the first time that I wrote it down.
Well,
So
because yeah, but it's consistency, like you said, the McDonald's example. There's the Big Mac is a Big Mac is a Big Mac.
yeah,
And that's why you can go to McDonald's and you're going to get a Big Mac, what it tastes
and it's going
like.
to taste the same and they're going to have the
Yeah,
same experience because when people refer you they expect to have the same
same.
experience as the person who referred them, and if they don't then the whole domino falls apart. So it's really important to keep your process consistent, your communication consistent with small pivots, with market changes. If the market gets more competitive then you're going to have different conversations, but just
Right.
generally speaking, the intensity of the communication, like everything should be consistent so that that person can feel safe referring you over and over again.
That's excellent advice. And thank you so much today for sharing your words of wisdom with us. And so anyone that's in the Cincinnati or in the Cincinnati market or moving to the Cincinnati market, we have the perfect person for you to contact. And hang
Thank
on
you.
for a minute because I want to get something here at the end. I thank you so much for joining me today. If you're inspired by these powerful women in real estate, you'll want to catch the next conversation. Click the video on screen to keep sipping, selling, and leveling up your game.